Your voice.
Your station. Let's walk the talk.
702 Summer.
Welcome back. This is the Clement Manyathela Show. It's 10:36 right here on 702. My name is Kgomotso Modise. I'm in for Clem this festive season. Thank you so much for tuning in and thank you for your contributions. All right. In this half hour, we're going to be dealing with a really important issue, and that is the school placement issue. It happens all the time. Every year, we have a conversation with the Gauteng Education Department because of the challenges in placing students or pupils in schools. And it is around that time now where parents are planning to place their pupils. Hopefully, all of you have your ducks in a row and are okay. But I can imagine that many of the parents who listen to the show are struggling and worried, having struggled to find placement for their children. The Department of Education in Gauteng says more than 10,000 grade 1 and 8 pupils remain unplaced in the province. And the department's provided the latest update on learner placements with just a few weeks to go before the academic year begins. The 2026 academic year begins. Now, who better to have in studio than the Gauteng Education Spokesperson, Steve Mabona, who's joining us for this conversation. Steve, thank you so much for coming in.
Good morning, and to all our listeners.
Sure. I think, Steve, maybe we should just start with, what the current numbers look like, because I know that they keep moving and changing. So let's start. Are we still at around 10,000 plus students or pupils who haven't been placed?
No, we were, last week, we were at about 9,000. But because our officials have been working tirelessly, making sure that they place all those that are unplaced, the figure now is just around 5,000 of those that we still need to place. And you will remember that on the 17th, we opened the system for late applications. The numbers there, we have over 7,000 applicants who are placed. Remember, during late applications, you don't need to wait for placement period. You choose a school, you are placed there. So we can say just over 7,000, they are now placed, those that are, applied late. And we're dealing with appeals as well. We have recorded over 6,000 of those appeals and objections, and we have attended about just over 70% of those.
And what's at the heart of the placement crisis, Steve? Because every year we see this problem where, I suppose even next year we're likely to see more people outside the education department queuing out there, hoping for placement. What's at the heart of placing all these children?
No, thanks very much. Our challenge is multi-layered. And come next year, yes, we're going to have parents that will be queuing in our district offices, but it will be different parents. It will be those that would have went to schools for inner grades. They could not be assisted, and they will go to the district offices then seek assistance there. And you will then be having those that would have applied during late application period. They just chose schools because during this period, we don't avail schools that have reached capacity. So they will just click a school there and choose. And come January, they will say, no, the school is too far. Or some will realize that the school is a fee-paying school. They cannot afford and they don't want to, take the school. We will be assisting those. And there are those that would have applied during the application period. We have placed them already. They have reached out to us to say, no, my situation has changed. I'm moving from one district to the other. So we'll be assisting them. And there are those that will be saying, I can't pay school fees, or it's too high, we need an alternative school. Then we'll be moving, them around. So the number of those that would not be having space is going to be lesser because, as it were, now we have just over 5,000 that we are finalizing because our officials, though they are on holiday, but they have gadgets, they have equipments that we gave them, during their holiday. They are volunteering, most of them to assist us and continue so that we don't have this challenge when we open schools. So by that time, we are hopeful that we'll be having a lesser number of a parent that will be saying, my child does not have space.
And is there something that the department could have done better? Because as I say, every year we see this challenge, and I suppose the department should have been planning or is planning and knows that this is coming, that we're going to have a placement problem, that there are pupils that are going to be without schools come December, January. Is there a way that the department could have better planned for this crisis?
Look, we've been planning, we've been intervening. I mean, we are highly pressured. There are areas where we don't have enough schools as per the population that is growing in those areas. The development that we are seeing in those areas, which it's leaving us behind. I mean, they're galloping. Developers are galloping while we are stagnant at some point. That's why, though it's not our responsibility to build schools, but we had to intervene and say to our implementing agent, which is the Department of Infrastructure and Development, to say, let's take some of the schools that we might have allocated to you to say, assist us. We will partner, we have partners that are going to be assisting us to, on a, faster pace, build schools. So we'll be opening 3 to 4 schools next year, which have been built outside the Department of Infrastructure. And they have their own number of schools that they also will be assisting us, to hand over to us. We are hopeful that will make a dent. But also, we have been building what we call satellite schools in a form of mobile units. The only thing that it's lacking there probably is brick and mortar, but those schools are functional, they are operational, and you then have to give money to schools to build extra classes, and that's what we've been doing. And you make sure that those that can accommodate mobile units, we were in a position to give them mobile units to increase their capacity, because especially in the high pressure areas, that's where you have a challenge where you would have received over 1,000 applications only to find that the school has only 250 in terms of the capacity.
I want to open the lines to our listeners because, while the department may give their view and set and lay the foundation just on the situation according to the department, I think the problems are very unique that parents might be facing. Each, parent might have, met some issue as they were trying to use the system. I remember that the system also at some point was a little challenging for parents to get used to and to use the applying online. So I want to invite parents who have been experiencing challenges around, placement. 011-883-0702 is the number for you to call. Steve Mabona from the Gauteng Education Department is with us in studio this morning, and he's taking your questions, and I hope that we'll be able to find solutions for you if you are experiencing challenges and your child hasn't been placed yet. There's a WhatsApp here, someone saying, I'm deeply concerned and disheartened about the GDE placements. I applied on the first day of applications in July. I prepared all my documents, and by 8:15 on that day, I was done applying. I live near 2 schools on my main road and 2 other schools in my area. My child is still not placed for grade 8. In fact, I was offered schools in the Vaal while I live in Montana, Pretoria. Unfortunately, I cannot afford a private school. The GDE is really failing us. My daughter is stressed. It's really difficult for us to enjoy our festive holidays. Funny thing is, people who live far from these schools are already placed in the schools because they know someone at the department. And that's from Sharon in Pretoria. Steve?
No, it's one of the high pressure areas that we are experiencing. Montana does not have enough schools. We do have a work school there, which can only take 1 class. And that actually compound to our challenge. But also, we then had an alternative school that we have introduced in a form of a satellite, the one that I've just mentioned. We have in that area for us to intervene because there's a planned brick and mortar school that we're going to be, building. We have a satellite that we are placing there, but some parents don't want it. So we will then give them an alternative, as it were. But it's impossible that the child can be placed in the Vaal. I think there's something wrong there. It can't be.
Especially because she says she lives near 2 schools on her main road.
No, the one school might be Ur School, which takes a lesser number. So you'll find that she's not even closer to it. And there's another one, which probably she's mentioning. And we will then have the satellite that is still in the area, which can come as an alternative. Or they will move into not far, but where we will be in a position to accommodate, but not in the Val. So we need that case if we can get that case and look at it. Yes.
All right. So the producers will take her contacts. Let's go to the phone lines. I do see many of you wanting to ask your questions. David, you're in Pretoria. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me. Well, just a quick one. Well, thanks, Steve, for breaking down the numbers in terms of those that are not placed at the moment. I think you mentioned something like 9,000. But what would be beneficial for most of us is that we need to understand how many placements do we have, in the province, and as a percentage, how many have been placed at the moment vis-a-vis those that are not placed. And you can also give that account, for us by district as well, the education districts that you have. And then lastly, on my side, I think, you don't have a problem here in Gauteng, in the Department of Education. These are good problems, Steve, and you must accept them as they are, because you are the only province that is, as far as I know, that has got a system that is able to plan, that has, the, ability to know how many learners they are. And as a result, you can be able to therefore ensure that they are appropriately resourced accordingly. But what we want to know is, whether there is indeed, sufficient capacity, and that can also only be established by knowing how many placements are there in the province, and then based on the percentage, how many are currently placed at the moment. But the work that is being done, very much commendable. Many thanks.
All right, David, thank you so much. Steve?
No, thanks very much. Like as I've indicated, yes, we utilize the system to assist us to know what is happening. So that's why even if you term it a crisis, it's a challenge that is perpetual, and we are very thankful of the contributions from David, because we are in a position to know where the challenge is. That's why it was easy for us to say, let's provide money to schools to build extra classes. Let's have our satellite schools. Let's take over some responsibility from the infrastructure development, because we saw that they are slow and we could probably intervene and assist them. And that's the utilization of the system. It assisted us. When you check on the majority, we have placed over 340,000 of our children.
Yeah.
And 5,000 will be probably less than 1% of those that are unplaced. And you will then have those that are not happy, which is about 6,000 applicants. Those will be saying, I'm objecting, I'm not happy. So when you check on the numbers, you can see majority parents are placed in schools that they can utilize, and only to find that those that cannot accept, it's a small percentage, really.
All right, let's go to Tony in Lyndhurst. I'm going to try to take as many calls as we can to address your questions. Tony, please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my call. I'm one of the parents who's also having the frustration of applying in time, and you are waiting in limbo, and by the time you get placed, you only got placed, I think, last week. We're staying in Lyndhurst, and the allocation is in North Riding. Imagine from Lyndhurst to North Riding how practical that is, And if the spokesperson is going to brag about placements, but we have poor quality placements, what's the point of placing us? It's as good as not having schools, They can say they've placed children, but if I'm going to move from Lyndhurst, live so many schools around Lyndhurst area, and going to be placed in North Riding. It is so ridiculous, and I'm not the only one. One of my colleagues as well stays in Berea and got placed in Orlando West. Sure. And it's the same stuff all over about placements, yet the placement is poor quality. And another thing that frustrates us, we don't have format of remedy. What do we do? in a situation like us, because we are in limbo. We don't know what we're going to do next year.
All right. Tony, thank you so much for that. I want you to give us a holistic answer, because I see one or two people who are also saying we applied in one area and now there's another area that my child has been placed in. What happens in that instance, Steve? What can they do?
No, like as I've indicated, we're highly pressured. I mean, there are areas where we will not be in a position to accommodate everyone. That's why in the previous briefings, we've been sharing numbers. We've been sharing on the areas to say, if a school in this area received 3,000 applications, for instance, you will have parents that are unhappy. And the North Riding area, Lindest and all those areas, we are pressured there. That's why we have that satellite school as a form of an intervention. But parents don't want that school because it's mobile units. They will say, no, I can't take my child there.
It's like a container.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a mobile unit. It's not a container, because a container, it's different.
But is it what people would generally refer to as a container?
Well, they will say a container, but remember, we've moved from utilizing container. Containers were in the past. Now it's mobile units. The other thing, when you enter in there, is a class. You can have a smart board there. You can have an air conditioner. You can have anything that you want to have. The only challenge is that it's not a brick and mortar. So, yes, they need to appeal, and we'll look at their appeals. But we are highly pressured in that area, unfortunately. And it's not first come, first serve. I hear parents are saying, I applied on time, made things available, my documents and all. It's not about that. It's about the criteria. The closer you are to the school, if there's a sibling, there's a previous school, you work in the area, we're within 30-kilometer radius and beyond. That's the criteria we're utilizing.
Let's go to Roger in Rosettenville. Roger, good morning. Go ahead.
Good morning. Good morning, Steve. That's exactly the question I have. I applied at St. John Adamson in next to Rosenville. I'm less than 2 kilometers than that school. Two daughters of mine have finished in the same school. I'm staying in the same street. Applied the first day, still didn't get the school either at St. John or Kenilworth, which is less than 1 kilometer from me. So my question to Steve is, what are the real criteria of admission? I applied the first day, less than 2 kilometers from St. John, and didn't get...
Roger, so sorry. I think we lost him there, but I think we have the crux of his question. Yes, go ahead.
Look, it depends. I mean, on how we are pressured in the area. The schools that is mentioning, we're highly pressured there. You find schools that get full at 1.1 kilometer radius. There's those that will get full at about 1.5. So it depends on case by case. So I don't know, now on what happened to his case, but it depends on the pressure at the school, because some schools are full at even lesser because of the number of parents that have an interest in the school. I mean, there are parents that will be applying to a school that is far from them, and alternatively, you will then place them to a school, an alternative school that is closer to the one that is far.
Yeah.
But they will not want to take it because it's not a preferred school. So if it's not a preferred school, then it's far. But if it's a preferred one, no, the parent is comfortable in utilizing transport to that school.
All right, let's take Mpho in Florida. Glenn, you've been holding for some time. Mpho, good morning. Please go ahead.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, Mpho.
So I live in Florida Glen. The closest schools are Northcliffe, Roosevelt High, Roosevelt High, and I think there's Hoërskool Die Burger. Hoërskool Die Burger is like literally a road up from us. But now I didn't apply to that school because, there's a safety issue around that school. But now what they did is that I wasn't accepted at Northcliffe, I wasn't accepted at Roosevelt. I was told because my documents are not in order. I didn't have a valid proof of address. So I pointed out to them that I live in a mom's house. So therefore, I wouldn't have a municipal bill in my name. They told me that unfortunately there's nothing they can do because they don't accept affidavits as a valid proof of residence. fair enough, I accept that. But then what they did then is that they went and they changed my home address. You can't even do that yourself. They changed my home address to my Racebirg and sent my child to a school called Robin Hood Secondary School. Again, there's a safety issue. But I think for me the worst is that they went and they accepted the transfer on my behalf. So I can't even appeal it.
Yeah.
And there are schools that are closer that they have since come up as, the ones for the later applications where it's literally you apply for one school. There's a school that I would have even preferred that I would look, I'll take that. But now I can't even do that because now they accepted on my behalf and I'm upset.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they took away my choice.
Steve, you see, there's the problem. There's more problems here than just one. It's not just an admission issue because now parents are even afraid to take children to certain schools because of the concerns that they have about the schools, safety, gang issues that they know about the schools. That's contributed, or that's currently contributing to this crisis.
Yes, I mean, schools are made by parents. That's why we have an SGB. You will find a school that the children are ill-disciplined. Whose children are those? It's our children as parents. I mean, there's a school that we turned around. I would not forget that school in Ekuru Lane. The parents stood up and said, no, not in our names. It was a drug haven. Children were ill-disciplined. But those parents stood up and said, no, let's call the department. We need the department to assist us. We went to that school with the former, then, Premier now. We went to that school, intervened, assisted those parents. That school now is a school that parents are fond of. So a school is made by parents. So there are those schools that parents will say, no, I don't want this school because it's ill-disciplined. Like there's a school in parents that don't want. And I went to that school, but I think we will then have to assist them and intervene where there's a challenge of ill-discipline. Let's work with the parents and make sure that parents are amenable to taking their children there.
When we come back, Steve, I want us to deal with Mpho's real challenge here because her problem is she's now applied to, to the schools that she wants, and her child is still not placed. They've taken her to a school elsewhere, and it seems that her address has also been tweaked somehow. So we'll deal with her problem when we come back from this.
Your voice.
Your station. Let's walk the talk.
702 Summer.
Let's go back to the lines. Minantle in Johannesburg, thank you so much for your patience. You've got a pupil or a child who's supposed to be going to grade 1?
Hi, morning. Yes, I do. Morning to you and your guest. We actually applied also first week of applications, applied to more than one school, 4 schools to be precise. We still haven't received any feedback. It still says application is being processed. So in this case, we also just wanted to find out what's the remedial action. Who do we contact? Because we can't even appeal because we're still not placed. Unless if I'm not aware of a process that we should follow. The other thing is I also went to the department before they closed. Didn't get much joy there as well. This is in the Boksburg Parkrand area. And there's a lot of schools. We stay within the area. We don't know what to do, really.
All right, Steve?
No, thanks very much. We will appeal with her to be patient, but if we can get her contact and just check on the specifics, because we'll then be in a position to check. But most of the parents would have provided with an alternative space. But like as I've already indicated, that we have just about 5,000 of those that we are still, finding alternatives and making sure that we place them. Probably she's in that category, but we will make inroads and just check because some you'll find that there's a problem that need to be resolved. So we will just check.
All right. Minantle, I'm going to put you back to the producers who will take your contacts and then refer your issue to Steve, who will then speak to his colleagues at the department. Okay?
Thank you so much. Can I just ask, by when can we expect the 5,000 to be resolved? Do we have a date maybe that we can work with?
It's difficult now to have a date because most of them, they are in the high pressure areas. So working with schools, we were increasing capacity. Now we can't do anything which as a school, because schools are in recess and no one is operating. It's only our officials who are at head office and some district officials who are on leave who will then volunteer their services, during these holidays. But you'll understand that most of them, they are on recess. But we do have a team that is on a continuous basis checking and continuing. So we can't have an exact date, but we are pushing the numbers so that by the time we open schools, if it were, we will be having probably a lesser number for us to attend to. Thanks.
All right. Minandla, I'm going to refer you to the producers then who'll take your details. I want us to go back to a call that we had before the news, Steve, and that is Mpho, who was speaking about her challenge, having been placed in a school. Her address seems to have been tampered with somehow, and she's unhappy with that placement. She sent a follow-up WhatsApp where she says, another issue is that because they've accepted the transfer on my behalf, I can't appeal it. I think I need to be afforded that right.
No, thanks very much. But I heard her saying she utilized a mom's address because we have an allocation for any other situation, as it were. If you don't stay, or if you stay with the parents, we also need information from them. Like we'll need the municipal account in their name, we'll need the identity, also we'll need your statement of account that will be coming from any shop or any institution that will be saying you stay in that address, because taking cognizance that there's a lot of fraud that is committed when coming to proof of address. So that's why if the school was not sure about the address, what they will do, they will verify and go and check at that residence to say, is that parent staying there? And if it's negative, then they will classify that as an incomplete application. So that's what has been happening and with such parents. But we will have to look into the matter. But the transfer offer, it's not that it's accepted on her behalf. If we transfer any application, it means it's an alternative space that we're giving you. After considering all what we have, we'll give you that alternative space. If it's in the area, we will regard that as a space that is alternative and is in the area.
I want to take some voice notes, but before we do, Steve, what is the long-term plan for the capacity issue? Because more children are bound to move into the province. We're bound to have more children looking for placement, and that means it's going to be problems, going on, more issues of this nature. Is there a long-term plan?
Look, it's quite challenging because remember where we are sitting, like as I've indicated, the development is leaving us behind. When we planned, we said we need to go closer to the Department of Infrastructure Development to say, how do we make sure that even those that are developing, including the municipalities, to say, if you approve people who are developing, do they have any allocation of a school in the area, or do we have a land that is, earmarked for a school? Then we work together and make sure that we then build, schools where there's development. Because as it were, we are left behind, and there's an expectation for us to, make sure that we have schools. And it's quite cumbersome, really, from where we're sitting.
Steve, is it fair to say that the system, while you've been using it for some time now, is imperfect and there are still issues with it? Because if there are people that are saying, I live this close, I've submitted all my documents, I've done everything that I, must do, but I haven't been placed. But someone else who lives further and has done the same as me and applied at the same time, ended up with a place in that area or a placement in that school. Surely, is it a system issue that's still, not working?
No.
Or is there fraud happening among officials? What's the issue?
No, it can't be the system. The system, we've perfected the system now. And some parents will say, no, you need to do away with the system. Schools can do this, process. But the problems that we see on the inner grades, they will then dictate that probably if we were to do away with the system, we're going to have a huge challenge. Actually, by Jan, in Gauteng, there won't be any school if we were to do away with the system. But we are comforted by the numbers. When you look at the numbers of those that are placed and those that are complaining, it gives an indication that there's a challenge of capacity, of space, not of the system.
But how do you answer what people are asking about the fact that my friend who lives 16 kilometers away got placement in a school that I live 2 kilometers away from, and we both applied? Surely that's a system problem, unless what's being said by some that someone in the department, you paid cold drink to someone, and that's why they ended up with the placement. Unless that's what's happening.
No, the cold drink issue doesn't hold. It doesn't hold. It's not easy.
So what's the problem?
Because we monitor the system from. Yeah. We have got 3 layers: head office, we've got a district, we've got a school. So the monitoring will not even allow.
So it leaves us with the fact that this is a system problem. That's what I'm saying.
No, there's an element of fraud that I've indicated we do have, and it becomes a challenge. That's why we gave schools permission to say, check on all the proof of address and make sure that you verify. But if there's a suspicion that this might not be the address, then let's verify. Schools, more especially in the high pressure areas, they go to an extent of visiting those households to go check, and they will find some being negative to say, but this person does not stay here, and we will get that confirmation, and they will take that person out of the process. So the sooner parents are honest, and because when you ask them, some of them they'll say no, they will be willing to say it on the radio, to say there's someone that I know that got space, that I suspect that there's something untoward. When you request that information, you can't find it.
So it's an element of fraud from the parents that are okay. But I'm asking you, Steve, that is there no possibility of an element of fraud from the officials? Because I can imagine parents who are desperate, who really do want placement for their children, approach officials and they say, make things happen. Are you saying that never happens?
No, it never happens.
Surely not, Steve.
No, it never happens. They must bring it here and say, official so and so gave this one, and then we will investigate. Because that's what we're saying. Most especially in the Tshwane West area, parents will go there and say, official so and so did 1, 2, 3, and we'll go there and check and find nothing. And the parent will come and say, I know of a parent that does not belong in a certain area, got space, then so give us that information. That information will not come. So we sometimes understand that if a parent is not happy, they will say, things, and they will, deal with the system to say the system does not work, and say a lot of things that probably will satisfy them because they're not happy. When we did indicate that there will be parents that were not happy. If we make an example of a school that received 3,000 applications and the capacity there is 300, you think over 2,000 parents will be happy that they were not accommodated at the school.
I'm going to read you a WhatsApp here from someone who says, someone told me recently that if a parent goes to a district office for placement, they are made to pay 3,500 rand.
No, let's get that information. It will never come. It's not for the first time we are at this. Previous year, I've been part of this. Actually, I've been part of this thing for 9 years now. That information will come. You say, there's this allegation. You request information, it doesn't come. There's no official, even a single one, that we conducted an investigation and we found that an official was corrupt or did things that were not supposed to be done, and we took that person to a disciplinary process. It never happened for the past 9 years. And when parents come on air and say this, and we say, okay, it's fine, let's go to the producer, give us the parent, and when you go closer to the parent, you don't find anything.
Hey, all right, Steve Mabona, thank you so much. I do have to let you go, but before I do, I'd be doing a disservice to all the listeners who couldn't get through, the people that, we couldn't take, whose calls we couldn't take. What should parents do? Those who don't have, haven't been placed, their children haven't been placed right now, they are frustrated, they don't know what's next. What should they do?
No, we sincerely really apologize for those that are still waiting, especially the 5,000 that we are aware of, because we can see in the system that we are still, battling to make sure that we place them at alternative schools. And those that have appealed, I know that we are standing at about 70% of those that have appealed. Their appeals will be attended to. We will push and make sure that they get those responses, including objections. And those that applied late, they are placed already, so over 7,000, so that we don't need to do anything. But the inner grades, we know that we're going to see them in our district offices. We will try and assist them. But that you must know that it's an indication that if we were to take this process and say the schools must manage this on their own, it means all these queues that we normally see in Jan, they're going to be triple because school would have not been done with this process. So we just want parents, when they are frustrated, they must not bash the system. They must talk about the pressure and say, Gauteng, there's a lot of people that are here in migration. People are moving from one province to the other, and Gauteng is a province of choice. All of us came here, including myself. I'm from Mpumalanga, but I'm in Gauteng now. So we try by all means to accommodate and make sure that our schools, providing quality education.
All right. Steve Mabona, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming into studio. That is the spokesperson for the Gauteng Education Department.